Alright, section 8.5 is about adding and subtracting rational expressions, basically adding and subtracting fractions, algebra fractions. So we're going to start off with an example where we just add two fractions together. When you add two fractions together, you must have a common denominator. That means the part on the bottom here, this is what you're dividing by, has to be exactly the same, which makes the pieces the same size. So you're creating like terms. So to do that, we're going to do a little inventory here. We're going to say 5 is over 2 times 2 times 2. So I just took an inventory of what 8 is. So I factored out 8 into its prime factorization. And then I'm going to take 3 and then factor it into its prime factorization, and that's 2 times 5. And then we look at this and we say, hey, these need to be exactly the same. Well, this has 1, 2, 3 2's. This only has 1, 2. So this one needs a couple extra 2's. So now I have 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So if I multiply the bottom of the fraction by 2 extra 2's, I have to do the same thing on the top. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I'm not changing the value of the fraction, I'm just making it look different. Changing it to keeping the same proportion by multiplying the top and the bottom, the numerator and the denominator, by the same number. Okay, so this has a 5, this doesn't, so I'm going to multiply by 5 here and here. The result of this is 25 over, that's 8 times 5, which is 40, plus 12 over 40. So now I have 12 things that are the size of a 40th, and then 25 things that are the size of the 40th. So how many things do I have in all? I have 37 40ths. Maybe an old way that you could have found the least common multiple, because that's what we just did. 40 is the least common multiple. Is you start with 8 and you just multiply out. You count by 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Count by 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40. So 40 is a common multiple. It's the least common multiple. So it makes sense that 40 is your common denominator. But we found that by doing an inventory. We inventorized the 8 and the 10 and made them all be the same. So we factored. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to factor before we add these two fractions together. So there's a common factor here and there's a common factor here. So I'm going to write 1 over 3, take out the common factor, 4x, and then 3, take out the common factor of 3. Because 3 lives inside of each of those, 3 lives in all those. 3 times what makes that? Well, that'd be x. 3 times what makes that? That'd be 5. Over here, x squared, 7x, and 10. This part factors again. It may or may not, but it actually does. So it'll be 1 over 3, parenthesis, 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 plus 4x over 3, parenthesis, parenthesis, x plus 5. 2 sets of parentheses, put an x and inch. 10 would be 2 and 5, and 2 and 5 makes the 7, so it makes sense. So it's plus 2 plus 5. Now we've completely factored each denominator. Now I can do a comparison. This one has a 3, this one has a 3. Good. This one has an x plus 5, this one has an x plus 5. This has an x plus 2. This needs an x plus 2. You multiply that in the numerator and denominator position. So now we're left with 1 on the top plus distribute 4x squared. 4x times 2 is 8x over 3 times x plus 2 times x plus 5. Now to clean this up a little bit, you could write this in order. So you put this first, that second, that third. I've kind of run out of space here, so I'm just going to go with that answer. Subtraction works the same. Factor the denominators and see what we need. Take a 4 out of each of these, so take out the common factor. So that'd be x plus 1. And over here it'd have x and x. 2 and 2 would not make 3. It has to be 4 and 1. 4 is negative and the 1's positive. Okay, so those are the same. 4 There's no 4 over here, so I'm going to multiply by 4. Do that to the numerator and the denominator. And then this one needs an x minus 4. All right. So 4 times 3 makes 12, so it's 12x. What I'm really doing here, since I'm subtracting, is I'm really adding a negative, so I have to distribute that subtraction. So what the deal is. So each of those gets multiplied by negative 3. Negative 3x plus 12 all over the common denominator, which is 4 times x plus 1, x minus 4. Those are like terms. 9x plus 12 over 4 times x plus 1, x minus 4. All right. Yeah, frog stuck in my throat. So there's the answer to this one. Okay, let's go through and do some problems on the worksheet here. This is practice in finding common denominators. So it says find the least common multiple. So we compare these two. So let me drop this down here a little bit. And focus. All right, so this guy's all factored, that's all factored. So we look and we say, hey, this is here, this is here. This needs to be 9, so there's a 3. Well, I need an additional 3, so I'm going to multiply by 3. This has an x, 2x minus 1. This doesn't. So this needs a 2x minus 1. So basically, they're the same because that's 9 and there's the 9, and then this matches this matches that. So this right here is actually the least common multiple, and this one over here is the same thing. Down here we're going to see that this is the x minus 2, x plus 3, and then here we have 10, and this is x plus 3, then x plus 3. So we look at this and we're like, ooh, okay, what's in common? Well, there's one x plus 3, but this has two x plus 3s. So we need an additional x plus 3 over here. I'm not multiplying this to the numerator and the denominator because it's just practice finding common denominators. So 1, 2, 1, 2, that matches. 10. There's a 10 here. Okay, I need a 10 over here. So that matches now. And then x minus 2, x minus 2. So now everything matches. So that's the answer. So down here we're going to factor. I'm going to take out the common factor of 5 first. And then y plus 4 is factored. 16 times 5 times 16 is 80. Then it factors again. I'm so used to writing x. Y plus 4, y minus 4. It's y, not x. So this one has a 5, this one doesn't. So I need to multiply by 5. This one has a y, oh, this one needs a y minus 4. Minus 4, not plus 4. So that is the least common multiple. So now they're exactly the same. Okay, we're going to add the fractions together. This is a simple, easy one. There's common denominators already, so we add the numerators. So it's 2 over 2x, which is 1 over x reduced. This one here, we're going to factor everything. So it's 5y plus 2 over xy times y plus 2x minus 4 over 4 times xy. And they were like, hey, this has 2 y's, but this only has 1. So we multiply the bottom by y, multiply the top by y. This one here has an x, that has an x, that matches. This one has a 4, no 4 over here. So when you multiply the top by 4, the numerator by 4, we have to make sure we distribute the 4. So that's what I'm going to do now, distribute the 4. Distributing the 4 through, I get 20y plus 8. Distribute the y through, plus 2y x minus 4y over the common denominator 4x, and then y times y is y squared. Now I can put together the like terms. So the y's go together, so I get 16y plus 2xy is equal, no, plus 8. So I did that, fell down, those go together, over 4xy squared. Okay, that's correct. Now, what you can actually do with this is, since each term is a multiple of 2, everything can be divided by 2. So this could be the best final answer, 8y, divide this by 2, plus xy, plus 4, over, divide that by 2, 2xy squared. All right. Now we're going to factor on this one. So I can take my inventory. So I have negative 3x over x plus 3, difference of two perfect squares, and x minus 3. Now we got to make them match. This has a 2, this one needs a 2. And multiply the top and the bottom by 2. This has an x plus 3, this one doesn't. So I'm going to multiply by x plus 3. This one has an x minus 3, that has an x minus 3. So 2 times this would be negative 6x. Distribute the 4. 4x plus 12. 2x plus 3, x minus 3. Put those together. Negative 2x plus 12 over 2x plus 3, x minus 3. Alright, now the same thing happens in this one like the last one. This is even, and this term down here is even, so these three parts are even. And this is all one thing, so I can divide the three parts. That's really one part, so divide each of them by 2, and we get minus x plus 6 over x plus 3, x minus 3. Alright, now we're going to do some subtraction problems. This one here is real easy. I'm going to subtract. Negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3, so it's negative 3 over x. You don't change the denominators, right? Okay, common denominator on this one. So we got to, I don't know, maybe the fastest way to look at this, like, hey, this one here is twice as much as this one. So all I really need to do is multiply the 2 to the denominator and the numerator. So I get y minus, that would be 6 over 2y plus 4. That's all you do with that one, because if I double this guy, that'd be 2y and 4, which is the same as that now, and that's 6, done. Down here, kind of the same thing. This is the difference of two perfect squares, which is y plus 5, y minus 5. This is just y minus 5, so I need y plus 5 to finish it off. Do that in the numerator and the denominator. You have to be very careful with this. You have to distribute the negative 8. So you pretend like it's plus negative 8. And that negative has to be distributed because you have to subtract each part. So it's 3y minus 8y minus 40 over y squared minus 25. Those go together for like terms, negative 5y minus 40 over y squared minus 25. Now it seems like that's a multiple of 5, that's a multiple of 5, that's a multiple of 5. You could multiply everything by 5, but no go. Because it has to have a factor of 5 in that one there. So I went through all the even problems plus the examples. Basically, when you add and subtract fractions, you have to have a common denominator. So I made the common denominator 40 here in the beginning. Let's back up. Alright, so I made it 40 so that I could add those together. And That's the basic idea on all of these.